3 feet from gold. The story that defines persistence. Have you ever felt the crushing weight of failure? The feeling that you've given everything you have, only to come up empty-handed? We've all been there, staring at a goal that seems to drift further away with every step we take. We start to believe the voice that whispers, "It's time to quit." But what if that voice is wrong? What if you are standing on the very edge of your breakthrough, closer than you could possibly imagine? There is a story, tucked away in the pages of one of the most influential books ever written, that has transformed millions of lives. The book is Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, a man who dedicated over 2 decades of his life to studying the minds of the world's most successful people. And in that book, he tells a simple but profound tale about failure, about quitting, and about how agonizingly close we often are to the success we crave. He called it 3 feet from gold. Today, we bring this story to life in a new cinematic way. And more importantly, we'll explore how its timeless lesson applies directly to your life right now. The story begins. Our story starts in the late 1800s, during the fever of the Great American Gold Rush. It was a time of wild dreams and immense risk, a time when ordinary men could become kings overnight. And a man named Darby heard the call. Darby was not a wealthy man, but he was rich in ambition. He heard the stories coming out of the West Hales of mountains laced with veins of pure gold. He felt the pull of that possibility, the dream of striking it rich and changing his family's destiny forever. So, he gathered his life savings, convinced his relatives to join the venture, and bought the necessary equipment. He traveled west to Colorado, his heart pounding with a mix of fear and exhilaration. He began to dig, and at first, he found gold. It wasn't a massive discovery, but it was real. A glittering vein of ore that proved the dream was not a fantasy. This was the sign he had been looking for. The potential was real. Intoxicated by this initial success, he carefully covered the mine. He went back home, his spirit soaring. With the proof of ore in his hands, he raised a substantial amount of money from friends and family, investing in advanced, powerful machinery. He returned to the mine, no longer just a hopeful prospector, but a man who believed he was on the verge of becoming incredibly wealthy. The setback. He fired up the new machinery. The drills bit into the earth with a confident roar. But as he started digging again, the gold was gone. The vein had vanished. One day turned into a week into a month. The initial excitement curdled into frustration, then into gnawing doubt. The machinery, once a symbol of his impending success, now seemed to mock him with its silence. The money he had borrowed heavily on his mind. He kept digging, a little more, a little deeper. He pushed his crew and himself to the point of exhaustion. The ground yielded nothing but dirt and rock. The once bright dream was now a suffocating nightmare. Finally, broken and defeated, Darby made a decision that would haunt him for the rest of his life. He quit. He sold the state-of-the-art machinery to a local junk dealer for a few $100s, a fraction of what he had paid. With his head hung low, he packed his bags and walked away from his dream, convinced he had failed. The twist. But the junk dealer was a different kind of man. He wasn't a prospector, but he was a shrewd observer of them. He saw the high-quality machinery and wondered, why would a man with such fine equipment give up so easily? He felt that something didn't add up. So, the junk dealer did the one thing Darby had failed to do. He sought expert advice. He hired a mining engineer to survey the land and examine the mine. The engineer, a man who understood the secrets of the earth, studied the fault lines, analyzed the rock formations, and made his calculations. And he discovered something Darby never knew. Darby had been digging in the right place, but he didn't understand the nature of gold veins. He was unfamiliar with fault lines. The engineer explained that the vein hadn't disappeared. It had simply shifted. The geological fault had pushed the vein slightly aside. It wasn't gone. It wasn't empty. It was just 3 feet away. The junk dealer took a pickaxe, walked over to the spot the engineer had marked and began to dig. 3 feet from where Darby had quit, he struck one of the richest gold veins in Colorado's history, pulling millions of dollars in gold from the ground. Darby had quit 3 feet from gold. The lesson: Napoleon Hill uses this story to make a powerful point. More gold has been mined from the thoughts of men than has ever been taken from the earth. The story isn't really about mining for gold. It's about mining for the resilience within ourselves. It's about mindset. Most people quit right before the breakthrough. They give up when the pressure rises, when the doubt becomes deafening, when the results seem to stop. They quit when they are 3 feet from gold. They mistake temporary defeat for permanent failure. Darby's transformation. But here's the part of the story most people forget, and it's arguably the most important. Darby didn't let this devastating experience destroy him. He could have become a bitter, broken man. Instead, he chose to learn. He studied the lesson that had cost him a fortune. He burned the idea into his mind. Never again would he stop just because things got hard. He transformed his mindset. Darby went on to become a life insurance salesman. It was a different kind of prospecting, but it required the same tenacity. And this time, he was armed with a new superpower: persistence. He became one of the most successful insurance salesmen in the country, earning back his fortune many times over. He famously said, "I stopped quitting when I understood how close I had been to success." He took his greatest failure and turned it into his greatest asset. The deeper truth. Napoleon Hill writes, "Failure is a trickster with a keen sense of irony and cunning. It takes great delight in tripping one when success is almost within reach. It often hits you the hardest right before the finish line. It's the universe's final test of your commitment. It's life asking you one last time, how badly do you truly want this?" Most people don't fail because they lack the talent, the intelligence, or the resources. They fail because they lack the persistence to see it through. They stop, exhausted and disheartened, just 3 feet from gold. Modern parallels. Think about our world today. The principle remains the same. How many people quit the gym in January, right before their body was about to adapt and change? How many entrepreneurs abandoned their business right before it was about to find its market and become profitable? How many artists give up on their craft right before their skills were about to mature into mastery? How many people walk away from a relationship right before it was about to deepen into a true, lasting connection? The pattern has not changed. The world still rewards and will always reward those who have the courage to persist when everyone else would quit. Your life. Now bring this story into your own life. Where have you been digging? What dream have you been chasing? Where have you been pushing forward, day after day? And where, right now, are you tempted to quit? What if you are closer than you think? What if all your effort has brought you to the very edge of your reward? What if your breakthrough is just 3 feet away? What if your future self is looking back at this exact moment, begging you not to stop? Viewer reflection. Take a moment to pause and reflect. What is the one goal you've been working toward that feels slow, frustrating, or uncertain? That thing that makes you want to give up? What if you're not failing? You're just in the final stage of the test. What if the vein of gold has just shifted, and all you need is a small adjustment, a little more time, or one more attempt? Share that goal in the comments below. Your story of persistence might be the one thing that inspires someone else to keep digging. Closing. The story of Darby is the story of all of us. We all face our own versions of that barren mine, moments where quitting feels like the only logical choice. But persistence is the price of every great achievement. It is the one quality that separates the dreamers from the doers. If you refuse to quit, you cannot truly fail. You are only gathering experience for your next attempt. If this story inspired you, follow and subscribe to Greatness Quest Archive for more powerful lessons from the greatest books ever written. Keep digging.